Let's add a custom advanced block to our Minecraft mod. If you want to go deeper, the 26.x modding courses are linked down below. 30 plus hours covering complex block entities with fluid and energy handling, custom mobs, custom networking, and even custom biomes and dimensions. Everything you need for 26.x, all in one place, linked down below in the description. Alright, friends, back at you once more, and in this tutorial, we're going to be adding a custom advanced block to our Minecraft mod, so similar to what we've seen last time with the metal detector. Now, instead of a custom item class, it's going to be a custom block class. So let's take a look in the block package. We're going to make a new package called custom, actually. So this is just block custom, and then inside of there, we'll make the magic block class over here. This is going to be an interesting block. We're going to have two different things that we're going to do. Right-clicking functionality, as well as we're going to throw something on it and then transform that and maybe even step on it ourselves and get ourselves a status effect. The block class over here is of course going to extend from the block class, making sure we choose net Minecraft world level block over here and then hover over this to create constructor matching super, and off we are to the races. So when it comes to the block, of course, you can once again click on this, press Ctrl H, and see every single block class that exists. Here, once again, a word of caution. Some of those might be super easy to deal with and, explain. Like, for example, I think it's like quite high up over here, the magma block. Boom. How does the magma block work? Well, there's a step on method, and if you are a living entity and you're stepping on it, then you get hurt. So far, this is like super freaking easy, super easy to understand. However, if you're like, oh, I want to know how the furnace works, and you go into the abstract furnace block class, and you're faced with the block entity, and what is all of this craziness, and then you have an abstract container menu, and you're like, exactly. So some of the blocks right here are definitely a little bit too in-depth, but you can still walk through them. Some of them will be way too complicated for you as of right now. If you're just beginning over here, then that's basically that's the word of caution. Generally speaking, though, we can still override quite a few number of different methods, as you can clearly see. There's a ton of them, and right now, though, we are only going to overwrite the use without item method, as well as the step on method. I highly recommend that when you have your own custom block, just go in, just start typing in override, and just test out a bunch of things, right? At the end of the day, what's the worst that can happen? Nothing, right? You add a thing over here, can drop from explosions, whatever, you return a true, you return a false, it's fine. If it doesn't work, you just delete the method again, and you're good. So I highly recommend, I always really suggest testing out stuff, and going for experiments like that is one of the best ways to actually immerse yourself in how everything works. Regardless though, the use without item method. We're once again going to return an interaction result of success. This method, of course, gets called when you right-click this particular block in this case. And the idea is as follows. What I want to do is I want to, number one, spawn a particle. And then number two, I want to play a sound. Now, we've seen the spawning of particles right here a little bit via the server level, and we've seen the playing of the sound also via purely the server. Whereas this time right here, what we're actually going to do is we're just going to make it inline. So even though the use without item method gets called both on the server and the client, we're just going to do inline. So we're going to do the add particle method over here, where we'll make the particle types, no, particle options. No, it is particle types. It is particle types, particle types. And then here we can choose any one of them, end rod, glow, ash, whatever let's just do end rod for the sake of argument right here. We pass in the position of X plus 0.5. I'll explain that in a second one more time, because last time it was a little bit, I don't know, maybe brushed over a little bit too fast. It's fine. So that's going to be XYZ coordinates, and then 0, 1, 0 here for the velocity. So the idea is when we add a particle over here, in this case the end rod, we're going to spawn that particular particle type at position X, Y, and Z of the block that we clicked, with a little bit of an offset, as you can see. The offset of 0.5 for X and Z direction is because we're at like the bottom right corner of the block. So we need to shift it half a block in X and Z direction to get into the middle of the block. And then the Y pushes it all the way to the very top of the block itself. So one block high up. And then we're also adding a velocity of 1 so that it continues to go upwards until the particle just sort of disintegrates. Because within the particles over here, this is the end rod particle. Let's take a look. This is the end rod block, end rod particle. There's some sort of, well, we can see this somewhere, but That's actually kind of interesting, the simple particle type. But generally speaking, the end rod over here, most of the particle types have certain sort of parameters for them so that, you know, they only live for, you know, 20 ticks or 40 ticks. So at some point, you know, after a second or two, they just decay naturally. Regardless, we can do that. And then we can also play a sound. Now, let's just like add this and then we'll explain both of them. So let's just do level.play sound. That's exactly right. This time, we're going to pass in the player, then the position. Then we're going to say this is for sound events that, and then the chime. No, let's do like a cluster place. Doesn't really, I mean, it's fine. Of course, sound source of blocks. We'll do as the sound, the volume over here is going to be 2 because otherwise it's most of the time a little bit too low in terms of the volume, and the pitch is going to be 1. So for the add particle over here, if we go in, we can see that the add particle is implemented in the client level. So we can see this apparently is actually only going to be happening for the client, right? So this is going to be a very interesting point because it's only implemented in the client level. That means that if I right click this and there's another one, like another player standing beside me, only I will see the end particles. That's an interesting thing, and that's something that you have to consider. The playing of the sound, though, now it gets interesting because this is played in the level once again, but this calls the play sound method. And this plays the play seated sound method. And that calls the play seated sound method. And this one is implemented by both the client and the server, meaning the client is going to boop this up because the accept is equal to this player, meaning that we're playing this locally. And when it's called on the server, then it's going to say, okay, I want to now play it for everyone except for the player that we are passing in here, meaning that the sound is going to be played for you as well as everyone around you. When there's like, you know, 10 people standing around you and you look at this block, you right click it, only you see the particles, but everyone's going to hear the sound, including you. So that's one of the things over here. Once again, this is a sort of thing that it's going to get more and more like understandable as you do more things. Like it's just one of those things that, you know, this is a really good explanation of what's happening. But generally speaking, if you're like, that's still a little bit confusing, once again, play around with this, right? Do the if level is client side, call these methods. Do if level is server. Load the, you know, make the custom, like build a jar file of it, right? Of the mod right here. Put it onto a server, go on with some friends, play around with it. Like it's literally just test out some stuff. It's one of the best ways that you can understand it, because at the end of the day, the cool thing about code is you can always just be like, oh, this is wrong, boop, delete it, bam, done. And then it works again. That's the whole point. That's why it's called software, by the way, because you can easily change it. It literally is the case that's why it is called software. So there we go. Now, the step on method gets called when a particular entity is on top of this block. So that means what we're going to do is we're going to say, well, wait a second. If this entity is an instance of the player, right? Then first of all, I want to cast it to the player. So if a player now walks onto the magic block, I want to give it an effect. So we're going to add an effect. We're going to call the add effect method, passing in a new mob effect instance, which is the basically the mob effect that we, well, the instance of the mob effect that we want to give it. And we can then say mob effects. This is mob effects dot. And then here we can give it any of the different effects right here. Let's say, I actually think glowing is that's pretty good. And we want to give this for, let's say 15 seconds right here. That's going to be fine. And there we go. That's basically what I wanted to give it. So the player is going to get the glowing effect for 15 seconds when it stands on this particular block. But what do I want to do now? Well, now I actually want to do it so that when I throw particular items on there, then they turn into a diamond. Okay, that also is not an issue. We can say entity instance of. So if this is the entity that we're throwing on there is an instance of an item entity. So this is the entity that is responsible for holding an item as an entity in the world, right? So you throw out like a diamond, that's becoming an entity. And then the question is, well, if that entity is valid item, right? So then we do this, we pass in the item stack for the entity. Once again, I am doing this with a method that doesn't exist yet, because the same way that we've done it with the with this over here, you know, is valuable block and things like that. So the idea is that you can just program it. You don't right now, or we don't know what a valid item is, but we know that only certain items are valid. Okay, that's fair. So you just write it out. There's no issue whatsoever. Oh, it's an error. Errors are literally your best friend, and you're gonna run into them all the time when you're doing something. So you shouldn't sort of chase, oh, I have to fix this right immediately, or no, just, you know, calm down a little bit. Just because I know red usually means scary, but it's not that scary, right? It's like one of those things that you just have to get used to a little bit, and then you're fine. So we are like, okay, when we have a valid item, what does that mean? Well, when we have a valid item, or what do we want to do then? Well, we actually want to then say item entity.set item. So we want to set the item of the entity there to items.diamond. So we want to make a new item stack of diamonds with the same count that the entity had. So we're going to get the count here of the items. So I throw 32 valid items on there. Those turn into a stack of 32 diamonds. That's the whole thing that happens here. And now we just have to decide, what does it mean to have a valid item here? Now, what is it going to mean? Well, actually, we're just going to say item is, let's say, for example, items dot, I don't know, iron ingot, for example, right? So we're going to say an iron ingot, or the item is, let's say, mod items dot, let's do azurite, right? So we can do that as well. And then maybe another one is, I don't know, items.redstone or something like that, right? So there we go, boom. So I can throw redstone, iron ingots, or azurite on there, and those will turn into diamonds, and that's it. Nothing else is going to turn into a diamond here, because that's what the isValidItem method basically gates, right? So this is the idea of this case. And we've basically seen this similar type of thing in the metal detector as well, right here with the isValuableBlock right here, right? So there's a very similar sort of way to deal with this. And the cool thing is later, as a later tutorial, we're actually going to make tags of this, and then it's going to be expandable in theory to other mods as well. So other mods could add something to a tag, and then that would then work in theory with, for example, the valuable block here or the magic block as well. Pretty freaking cool, but right now, the block itself is registered. We can see that it is grayed out, meaning that we're not using it anywhere. Of course, that means we still need to register it. Let's just copy over the azurite block over here. For the magic block, generally speaking, it is still just like a, registering a normal block over here, magic block. The only difference is that we have a new magic block. This is very important here, of course, that we add this right there. The sound type of amethyst, kind of works. But maybe we can do like something else. I don't know. Decorated pot doesn't really fit at all, but I feel like a magic block would be like kind of weird, right? I feel like that's pretty fine. There we go. Let's just do something like that, and that's gonna be okay. And then, of course, we still need to go through, well, all of the different things that we always have to go through. So we want to add it to the creative mode tab over here. Once again, I'm just duplicating the line, changing the name over here. Then we go through data gen. So here, of course, it needs to drop itself. So I get the drop self over here. I change it to the magic block. Just hit tab to autocomplete this. Boom. The same thing with the tags. We have called the requires correct tool for drop method. So we have to add the magic block here too. Let's say the pickaxe, or if you want another one, you can of course also add it to the shovel or some other mineable with X type of tag as well. The blocks over here, it is a normal block, luckily, so we just, once again, trivial cube, and then there's no recipe that is associated with this, so that's fine. And the final thing here is then the block texture as well as the translation. Translation is obviously one of the easiest, and then the block texture, as always, is going to be available to you as well down below for download, as well as all of the code and everything that you might need is linked in the description below. But that is, once again, the magic block added, right? So this is a custom block with a custom block class and advanced block over here added. So let's first of all run the data gen over here to generate all of the JSON files that are needed. And once that is through, well then, let's jump into the game and see if it works. Our files are back in Minecraft. And as you can see, the magic block has been successfully added to the game. And if I right click it, oh man, that should up quite significantly right there. But you can see that absolutely works, and it even makes a sound. Let's just turn up the volume here just for a second. Absolutely. So that works 100%. Absolutely fantastic. Now, if I start throwing stuff on there, you can see, well, nothing over here happens. Raw azurite, but an iron ingot, boom, turns into a friggin' diamond. And yes, it just works over here. It works with azurite as well, and it works with redstone because those are the valid items, but it doesn't work with any other item. And if I step on it, you can also see I'm now starting to glow. Absolutely fantastic. And yeah, that is a custom advanced block over here added to Minecraft. Pretty freaking cool, man. One more note over here. And please note, of course, because we have the item interaction result here of success. If I try to place down a block, right, just normal clicking, it doesn't work. I have to basically sneak click to sort of not trigger the use without item. But we you know this, right? If you place down a furnace over here, for example, right, and then you try to place it down a block, you have to do the same thing. So you've probably seen this before, so that's just one note to basically say. But there we go. Nice. As always, all of the code is available to you down below, but that's going to be it for this tutorial right here. Next time, we'll talk about custom food. So I hope you're watching that hungry. Until then. So, yeah.